And we're live. Excellent. Good morning, everybody. It's Michael and my daughter Kaylin here from Critters Up Close. How are we today? Welcome to this week's Wildlife Wednesday, thanks to kids around Perth. And this week we're focusing all about under the sea. Now, Kaylin's going to go and help Talia and my son Sean with the camera and the props in the back. So, did you want to give everyone one more last word? She's out of here. So folks, welcome. Last week if you joined us, you would have met the amazing Talia and met Speedy the turtle. We thought we'd keep the aquatic theme, and this week we're going to talk about saltwater environments, some of the issues they face, a few of the critters that call them home, lots of different amazing things. Now, if you're just logging on now, give us a hello, say g'day. You've got any comments coming through there?
A lot of people watching, no comments yet.
Watching. Feel free to throw through the comments, okay? So folks, today we're going to talk all about the ocean, saltwater environments. So this small part here forms part of our Critters Virtual Classroom Aquatic Critters Education Program, where we talk about salt and freshwater ecosystems. So kids, do me a very big favour. Turn on your listening caps. Excellent. So you're now down by the beach, okay? So use your imagination. You're down by the beach. You're looking into the beautiful inter-tidal zone, which we are going to talk about soon. What kind of critters may call the beach area home? What kind of critters call the beach area, the rock pools, in the intertidal zone? Throw through a few answers if you've got them and let us know all about them. Let us know all about them. We've got any responses?
We've got a few highs, a few watching. No responses yet.
No responses yet. Please let us know if there's issues with the audio, folks. Usually we've got a lot of responses coming through by now. So if you have any ideas of different critters that like to live in and around the ocean, pop that up on the feed. Type it in the comments there, kids. Nothing on the feed just yet?
Not yet. Kids are still just waking up for the morning, I think.
Please pop a comment up there if you can hear us, everybody, just to make sure our audio is working.
Crabs.
Excellent. We're off. We're rocking and rolling. Crabs. Now, crabs have bones on the outside called an exoskeleton. So you can find crabs down by the rock pools in the intertidal zone. What are some of the other critters, kids, you can find in and around the ocean? In and around the ocean. Salt water, you're down by the sea.
Tristan says hi.
G'day Tristan, how are you, mate? Good to see you back again. You stuck with us all week last week and you're back again. That's great. So we can find things like sea stars because, kids, do you know there is no such critter as a starfish? They are called sea stars. What are they called? Sea stars. And I want to show you a little bit. So if you want to pop down here and have a little bit of a look down here, you can see the sea star right here. You'll notice its legs up at the moment. It was just holding onto the side. So the reason why they are not called a starfish is because they are not a fish at all. They do not have scales on them. They do not have gills. They do not have little fins on them, okay? These ones here, sea stars, did you know they are what we call an echinoderm? And the one you can see next to it is actually called a tiger tail sea cucumber. Now, this sea star here, they do not have blood. They do not have a central nervous system. They do not have a brain. How amazing is that? Now, can anybody tell me, if a sea star loses an arm, what can it do? If a sea star loses an arm, what can it do? Sea star's lost an arm. If they lose an arm, they can actually regenerate or grow them back. How cool is that? But if we go back down here again, friends, you can see we've got one tiny little arm there. You can see that that one has been lost at some point and it's grown it back. It may have been from a predator or other reasons. Yet if they lost one of their arms and a little bit of the middle called the central disc, then one sea star can actually grow into two separate animals, two separate viable animals. How
Tristan
cool
got it right. Tristan remembers from our last session.
You remember from the last session? That is awesome. Now, can anybody out there tell me, what are some of the major issues or threats faced by our ocean animals? So whether they're living on the beach, in or around the water, or in the water, what are some of the major threats faced? And we're giving you a few examples on the table right here in front of you. What are some of the major challenges and issues faced by these animals? Got a pretty sleepy crowd this morning, folks.
Oh.
So some of the major issues that they face, they can have things like this. They can have ghost nets. Okay, so these ones here, you can find nets floating around in the water that are not owned by anyone, that have broken away, okay, or been dropped in the water, and lots of critters can become entangled in them. And then you've got things like this one here. Anybody take a guess as to what that is? Have a look at that. It looks a lot like a jellyfish, that one there, but it is actually a plastic bag. Even the new plastic bags that they've put out that are better for the environment, apparently, they still take a long time to break down, and there's still plenty of time for our ocean turtles, there's plenty of time for dolphins and seals and sharks and other big fish to ingest them and get very, very sick. Now, kids and parents, there is a really amazing resource called the WA Beachcombers Guide. The WA Beachcombers Guide. If you're doing your exercise days and you're heading down to the beach and doing a bit of beachcombing, that is looking at shells and things like that, that is a really amazing free resource to have a bit of a look at and help you identify the types of things you're finding along your local beach. It's predominantly for the WA coast, so it's really, really amazing. And if we have a pan over here, check these ones out. These are a few things that we found before. This little one here, that looks pretty interesting, doesn't it? It looks pretty interesting and a little bit unusual. That one there is actually a shark's egg from a Port Jackson shark. How cool is that? And you can find them on the beaches washing up in the intertidal zones. And I've said that a lot, and we're going to talk about intertidal in a moment. Panning over here, you have things called, this one here's a turban snail. And have a look. It's got an amazing little trapdoor on the front there. So as part of their defense from predators, they can actually pull that door closed to help protect them. How amazing is that? Panning across here, look at these ginormous shells. Can anybody take a guess and let me know what kind of critter used to call these shells home? What kind of critter used to call these shells home? Any guesses at all, friends? Any guesses at all? We've got a few comments coming through there.
We've got a few kids' names and ages. So hi Pia, hi Will. A big hello to Tristan.
Yes,
we love hearing
one of our
from Tristan.
regulars.
He guessed the shark egg. Tristan's all over this.
So kids, these ones here belong to a meat-eating or carnivorous snail that lives in the ocean. A giant snail. Check out the size of that. How good is that? These ones here are often referred to as trumpet snails as well, because they can actually be modified and turn into a trumpet by the Aboriginal people. Isn't that amazing? And then we scroll down the front here, this one here that looks a little bit funny, that one there is actually from an egg sac from these snails. So lots of baby snails come out of there. How cool is that? So kids, we're going to go for a little bit of a walk now. We're going to head over to our little saltwater tank. So we're here today at our Critters Conservation Centre in Mandurah Forum. So we're going to head across here and have a look at a couple of the different critters living inside. So, if we come on over here, now it's great, she's up at the moment and awake. Check that one out there. Can you see that orange, beautiful animal there? That one is called a sea apple. It is actually in the sea cucumber family. And see these here, kids. What it's doing at the moment, it's actually filtering out the water. It's taking in all the kinds of particles from the water. They like to go down to the sand as well and help to keep it nice and clean. How incredible is that? Hello, Samuel, how are you? How incredible is that? And you can see this rock here. What we've got, it's actually living rock. It used to be coral. It's died off. It's now become live rock. And what is really cool, kids, if you have a look at this little piece just down here, it looks like a giant brain. This is an old piece of brain coral that we've actually used as a base rock. Did you know about 3 months ago, this was bright white, and look at it now. It is starting to grow and create life forms. Now, in this tank, we have focused mainly on things called echinoderms. So we mentioned that before. That includes your sea urchins, that includes your sea cucumbers, because the sea apple is in that family, and it includes your sea stars as well. So we've got a sea cucumber up the top there, if you can get that one. It's a bit hard. You can see the black or common cucumber. And on the back, but she is hiding very well, we do have a couple of sea stars.
So we've got a little grey one hiding there, and let me pop over this side because I think our beautiful red sea star, there we go, she's hiding in the back too, so you can see her just in there. She's so bright.
How good is that? Now kids, something that I failed to mention at the beginning of today's talk, because I wanted to wait for a few people to get online, we are going to be giving away a free pass to our Critters virtual classroom, okay? You need to answer one question for me at the end, and the very first person to answer correctly on the feed will get that pass, and we'll announce that after the talk. If you have any questions for today, feel free to put them in the feed, and Talia and I will catch up with you at the end as well. So, I'm going to give you a couple of different facts. So as I mentioned before, the sea stars, the sea cucumbers, the sea urchins, they do not have blood. They pump salt water through their body instead of blood. Can anybody take a guess? What does a sea star, remember there's no such thing as starfish, what does a sea star have on top of its head? What does a sea star have on top of its head? Are there any wild guesses there?
Not yet. Lots of love coming through.
Amazing. Hello,
Kids
Perth.
are
Hello,
furiously
world.
typing.
People typing. What does a sea star have on top of its head, friends? It's amazing. You're going to remember this for life, kids. Tristan, if you're online, mate, you know this. You've spent lots of time with us. He's typing at the moment.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave that one. You can do a bit of research. That is going to be my question at the end of today's talk. And the first person to answer that at the end of today's talk will get the pass. You need to wait until I ask that question again at the end. So you can research it. So friends, move across here. So what we've done here, we've created what we call an intertidal zone. So if you've been to the beach before and you've walked down to the beach and the water is very, very high, and then you go back later on in the day and the water is way out in the ocean, that is what we call the intertidal zone, where the tide goes up and back out. In these areas, you get lots of different critters like your sea stars, cucumbers, urchins, crabs, lots of different things. But you also get an amazing variety of different items that are left behind on the beach. So in this one here, we've got things like sea sponges. So this, when it was in the ocean, was a living organism. We've got corals. In this case, we've got a dry, dead coral here, but you can find corals. In fact, kids, when you pick up a handful of sand at the beach, you can often find pieces of coral. You can find lots of different things in there as well. And we've got this one here. So I actually found this one down at the Rockingham foreshore. They were doing digging many years ago with an excavator, and they were digging up fossils. How amazing is that? We have a lot of limestone here in Perth, so it tends to capture a lot of these little fossilised shells and different critters in there as well. How amazing is that? And then you come over to this area here, and this is our dune area. So kids, you'll often go to the beach and you'll see the dunes and you'll see all the plants, and you'll see lots of signs saying, please do not walk in the dunes. And you may wonder, why can't I just run through and tear it all up and hide in the plants? That is because without all of those beautiful plants in the dunes, it would all just blow away and wash away and fall apart. Those dunes need those plants to hold it all together and stop it all washing back into the ocean. So please, when you're at the beach, we need to respect the revegetation signs and rehabilitation signs and keep out of those dunes. Because not only is it holding the dunes together, it is very important habitat for critters. So those of you that have met Talia before, you'll know one of her passions are birds. In fact, probably the biggest passion in the entire world are feathered friends. We went down to our local beach not long ago and we found bee eaters, we found lots of different bird life down there as well that rely on this vegetation for food, shelter and nesting material as well. How cool is that? So what we'll do, I'm going to head back over to my little chair over here. And there's... So kids, if you can do me an absolutely huge favour, okay? Whenever you can, turn off the television, even though you're behind it now, turn off the computer, even though you're probably behind it now, and get outside. When you have the opportunity to go to the beach, pop down to the beach, go and check it out. The things you'll find there are absolutely amazing, but this is something very important to remember. If you see any wild animals outside, do not ever endeavour to pick them up, because sometimes they look very similar to the ones that you've met today, but they may be venomous or dangerous. Something very important to remember. Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask the question, kids. The very first person to answer this question online will win a free Critter Virtual Pass, okay? So here we go. Who can tell me, what does a sea star have on top of its head? What does a sea star have on top of its head?
Not a shell, unfortunately.
Not a shell? That's a good try. That's a good try though. What does a sea star have on top of its head? I'm going to leave that with you for a moment. And just for the parents, we're running our Critter Virtual Classrooms, lots of different topics on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday each week. We're also open to private sessions as well, where we can do one-on-one, virtual, face-to-face, and we provide all the curriculum required as well, including worksheets to keep the kids busy and entertained, and also help with your homeschooling endeavours. So Have we got anyone guess it correct yet?
We've got someone guessing pun. I'm not sure if it's a typo because it somewhat rhymes with pun.
Oh, it's similar to pun.
A crown. It's not a crown,
It's
Ruby.
not a crown, but I like that one.
It's not spines, Jenna, I'm afraid.
It's not spines. Mind you, sea stars are covered. All sea stars are covered in tiny spines.
It's not barnacles, Samuel. Though
Good job, Samuel.
some critters under the sea do grow
They
barnacles
certainly
all
do.
over them.
Kids, I'll give you a clue. It has its...
What's that one, kids?
What's that? It's a bit gross. What does a sea star have on top of its head? We're going to check the answers after this. So folks, thank you very much for following us. Please check in next Wednesday for our Wildlife Wednesday with kids around Perth. We're not too sure what we're going to cover yet. Maybe something a little bit spineless. What do you think?
That sounds
Mind
fun.
you, these are invertebrates as well, but we might do something land-based next Wednesday. So thanks a lot, folks. Please head across and check us out at Critters Up Close on Facebook. And we put up lots of cool videos, some gross videos. You'll absolutely love them. Kids, remember, whenever you can, turn off the television, turn off the computer, and get outside. Thanks so much, folks. We look forward to seeing you soon.